So filing homeowners insurance claims is in the spotlight right now because of the heartbreaking losses from the Los Angeles wildfires. So I am so grateful to have our guests today, Cameron Mooney and Aaron from Tugboat Claims. Cameron is the founder of Tugboat Claims, and they help people with their homeowners insurance claims. And since I've met Aaron and Cameron, I have learned so much about how important it is to do the process right, because two people that can have the same policy and the same type of damage can file a claim and receive drastically different amounts of compensation from their insurance company. So thank you for being here, Cameron and Aaron. Would you maybe tell us a little bit about what you do and how you help people?
Yeah, I'll go over it right now. Aaron's actually doing some of our tugboat work as we speak, so I'll let him do that and I'll do the little introduction for us. But the quick story is that Aaron and I used to work for insurance companies. We were adjusters that came to your house and inspected damage, decided whether or not it was covered based on the guidelines we'd been given, and then wrote estimates for how much things should cost. And so we did that for several years, starting in 2017 after Hurricane Harvey. And in 2021, I switched to the advocacy side of claims, actually at the end of 2020 for me. Getting licensed as what's called the public insurance adjuster, which means if you're in a state that licenses those, like here in California, you're licensed by the Department of Insurance to now represent the policyholder. That's typically the homeowner, the business owner in the claims negotiation. And so became a public insurance adjuster, and immediately thereafter thought of this huge gap that exists within claims. And that is that the average claim is large enough to be significant for the average American, meaning the average claim is $13,000. That's a lot of money for most people.
Yeah.
But far too small actually to be interesting or even an option for most public insurance adjusters or attorneys to help someone if they come into a dispute or just need help through the claims process. And so right after becoming a public insurance adjuster, really realized that that role, though it's really important and really needed, is pretty exclusive to large claims. So think of claims that are over $50,000. For a lot of public insurance adjusters, they'll only take ones that are several $100,000 or more. It takes a lot of work. It's very hands-on. It's time intensive. They can last years. And so public insurance adjusters really typically only take on very large claims. And so when we built Tugboat, which is an online solution for people to help them through their home insurance claims process, and now a membership that helps people be prepared for any damage that might happen to their house, it was really with the vision of how do we create something that anybody with any size claim could utilize that would help them through the claims negotiation process and help ensure not just that they're going to get a good outcome from that claim that they're experiencing, but that along the way, they feel more empowered. They feel like they understand things better. They feel like they have good answers to questions and good questions to ask. It's one of the most challenging parts, and we'll get into it, I'm sure, Tracy, in a moment, talking about these fires that are going on. But most of the questions that we receive is just a simple, like, what do I do right now? Like, I don't know what to do because my adjuster hasn't responded, or they're coming tomorrow and I don't even know what they're looking for. And I feel like I should be more prepared. I don't understand this language in my policy. Like, what do I do? And so a lot of what Tugboat does is just provide individualized support for those people. Hey, not telling people what they have to do, but at least educating them on, hey, this is what's going on most likely in your claim right now. Here are the options that you have in front of you. And here are the potential consequences of each of those options. So people can now make educated decisions about what's happening in their claim, be really well informed. Information is really what we're bringing to the table for people to help level the playing field when it comes to claims. And so it's a long answer to give a little bit of the history of what conceptualized Tugboat in the beginning and kind of what we're helping people through now as we've developed. It's now 2025. We've been doing this for several years. It's changed along the way. We've learned a lot about how to be more effective in helping people advocate for themselves. So super happy and blessed to have a resource that people can use in a time like this, but it's incredibly unfortunate how vast this problem just became magnified to our communities, right? You don't live far from where I am. We're in Ventura County. We just got hit with a big fire not that long ago with our neighbors right over there in Camarillo. And now Los Angeles is seeing it on a scale that no one's ever seen before. And so the things that we've been thinking about and talking about for years now have now are being brought to the forefront as people en masse are having to think about these issues that are going on with claims.
Yeah, and you said something that really grabbed my attention was giving people the power to advocate for themselves. Because when you're just, a little fish trying to get what you need out of the insurance company, it can be overwhelming and sometimes feel like a losing battle. Do you have any stories that you can share with us of people that you've been able to help recently?
Like I said, unfortunately, we have very recent ones because we're helping people through the Camarillo wildfires, which happened just 2 months ago. And
Right.
so we feel like we have this little bit of insight into what people in Los Angeles are going to be experiencing a couple months from now, and on the road between now and a couple months from now. Obviously, we've been helping people with claims for years, so we know the general path that a claim might take and the potential issues that come up there. But individual events like this wildfire bring about individual and unique issues, because what happens as people that used to work for the insurance companies and be adjusters for them, when a storm hits, an insurance company will often put a set of new guidelines out for their adjusters that are very specific to that storm, for their adjusters and for their vendors. And so specifically in the Camarillo wildfires, here's an example of something that happened kind of at large, is there were some insurance companies that were dictating to the vendors that were there to clean and determine what couldn't be cleaned, things like that. The vendors who are the licensed experts to assess those things. But
If I can interrupt you for just a second, I'm sorry. Can you clarify for people like what a vendor is?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. So the vendors, when I'm talking about them, is typically anyone that's assigned to clean or restore or rebuild anything in your house, and someone that might be there to assess. It's not, when I say vendor, it's usually not the adjuster themselves from the insurance company. It's not your public adjuster if you have one. A vendor is a mitigation company, a contractor, a contents cleaning company. There's all different kinds. And especially with people, for instance, with smoke damage, which is going to be so many of the claims that happen right now from these wildfires, there are a lot of vendors that get involved in those. You have a hygienist sometimes that comes out and determines by testing how affected things are. You have contents cleaning companies. You have mitigation companies that specialize in deodorizing and cleaning. Then you have people that are going to do the repairing. So that's painting inside the house. If you get that approved, that's replacing things like insulation and maybe insulated ducting that might be affected. And so you realize that there's all these different people. It's not just you and your adjuster. It's all these other different people that are involved in this that have a very unique role to play in your claim process. One of the things that maybe we can talk about in the moment, I've been talking about this a lot, is the incentives of all those different the incentives of all those various people that are involved in this claim. But this real fast. For some of these, so anyways, the insurance companies after the Camarillo wildfires did quite a bit of dictating to vendors. And I'll even back up. So typically the way a claim will be outlined is you might say to your insurance company, I have this damage, right? And you're making a claim to them. That could be water damage. That could be tornado damage. That could be hurricane wildfire damage. You say, I have this damage. I want to make a claim for it. Typically a homeowner doesn't have a dollar amount assigned to that claim because they're not experts to know how much things cost to clean, repair, or restore. And so the insurance adjuster is then assigned to come out and make that assessment. First, is it covered according to your policy? And how much is it going to cost now? How much money do we owe you now because we insured this thing that is now damaged or broken or missing, whatever it might be. And so then that adjuster may assign how much it might cost. But if a vendor is needed, like a mitigation company, because adjusters are what are called generalists. So they may be able to write a general estimate for repair, maybe a general estimate for mitigation. That's fairly specialized a lot of the time. And it often can kind of end there when it comes to a pack out or a contents cleaning or even a more specialized repair estimate. They have to bring in contractors that's their specialty to do that. For this one, we've seen landscaping estimates, pool rebuilding estimates, roofing, all those different things. And so typically it's that vendor that will come in and then dictate to the adjuster, hey, this is what it should cost, right? Based off
That
of
makes sense.
our experience, how much it costs to do this work, the typical profit margins, whatever it might be, they have their own estimating way. And so they deliver to that adjuster how much that may cost. What we've seen in some of these wildfire events, specifically in the Camarillo one, is vendors had informed us that they were told by adjusters how much they could charge for that specific work that needed to get done. So if it was cleaning of smoke, which is it's a general statement, but it could mean different things in a different home, right? If you're next door to a house that burned down, the way that your house is affected by smoke is different than if you're 4-5 blocks away, right? It may be different types of debris, might be different amounts. And so we use this general term like smoke damage, but it doesn't mean the same thing in different houses, right? And so all that to say, some of these vendors were told, you can charge $5 per square foot for cleaning, right? This is what you're allowed to bill back to us for cleaning when you estimate it. But imagine what a vendor then has to do when they're dictated, this is how much I'm going to be able to charge. What can I do and what can't I do to stay within that dollar amount if I want to be able to maintain this work? And there's pretty much always someone that will say yes to an insurance company on the vendor side to keep a relationship, to get work for whatever reason it might be. And they're not bad people. They're trying to make the situation work for them, for the homeowner, and they don't know the role that they're playing oftentimes. But the point is, that was a pretty interesting situation to see. And it's not the first storm that we've seen things like that in. But that is something to be aware of when you're working with a vendor. A vendor that you hire that your insurance company doesn't send out likely won't be operating under those same principles. They'll be a little bit more independent. And a vendor from an insurance company can operate pretty independently as well. It really depends on what's been dictated to them for this specific event. So anyways, that's one thing we've seen in the Camarillo wildfires. I think the main lesson that we've learned from those, and Aaron, you can speak to this too, because Aaron's done quite a bit of our support on Tugboat side. So Tugboat is our online claim support service. It also has a public adjusting firm that it owns, which typically we do like a pretty modest amount of business through because it's local here to Southern California, where now there's so many claims here. I've had to do more work on that public adjusting side and helping to oversee that. And so we see different types of issues that come up from those, but maybe you can chime in here too in talking about the difference from one insurance company to the next on what gets approved for the same types of damage, right? So from painting to not painting to what types of cleaning might be approved and what they're even willing to look at.
Yeah, and it just to clarify, it is a lot less to do with the policy, and more to do like with what that insurance company's internal guidelines and like what they train their adjusters to do is. And so a lot of the nuance there is not anything that you can like look at a policy and say, oh, I have this coverage or I don't, even though that's the contract that should govern that relationship. And so the conversations that our users end up having with their adjusters is a lot of asking those kind of questions. And that's the way that we empower people is like, hey, like, where is this in my policy? And like, why aren't you paying for this? And honestly, like getting into those differences, there's so many that like, I mean, I could call it a couple where like one insurer will not pay for you'd have an inventory company come in and catalog your belongings where another might. And
Which it sounds like a small thing.
yeah,
For some claims, it's a $20,000 to $30,000 difference right there in total loss claims, and having that assistance and the amount of time that a homeowner will have to spend on it, it's hundreds of hours.
and the amount of time that when they refuse to pay for that service, that they're willing to pay their adjuster that works for them to do a job that's going to end up saving them money, because it's not like they're not doing it on site. They're usually doing it a little bit on site, but mostly back at the office. And they end up paying much, much less because it's not professionally done and not thorough. And they're paying a lot more in labor to this adjuster hourly to do an inferior job, when other insurance companies in the same incident, in the same fire, will be paying for a professional company to come out and do it right. And so there's all of these little nuances and that won't be found anywhere in your policy. That is just differences from one insurance company to the next.
One of the things, this just made me think of this, and we talked a little bit about this as a team yesterday, is that some people are going to be hesitant to really try and make a lot of requests early on, and will be a little bit passive in their claim for several good reasons. One, it's still traumatic for anyone in the community that's been around it and seen it, especially if you've lived it. And it's overwhelming. And it's so much to manage. And so a lot of people will kind of sit back and just be like, you know what, if issues come up later, I'll deal with those then. I'm just going to kind of let the process start playing out. And this isn't to say everyone should go out and hire a public adjuster or anything like that. The point we were trying to figure out ways to communicate to people that they need to be active in their claim process as soon as possible, and making as many requests as are reasonably possible as soon as possible. And this is for several reasons. One, right now it's the most top of mind. You won't remember what your house was like the day before the fire better than you do today as time goes on. Two, it's when the most adjusters are assigned to this event, so it has the most attention from the insurance companies. And three, and this is actually a really important one, and it's not very measurable, but right now is when there's this overall national attention happening. So insurance companies are under more scrutiny. They're more apt to actually have better behavior in these first few weeks after a fire, as even though we still see things that we think are questionable, things that adjusters shouldn't do, lack of communication. We see all the same issues.
Right.
It's our strong belief that those will just get magnified 6 months from now, a year from now, because you'll be on your fifth adjuster. Like the country isn't talking about the North Carolina losses anymore, right? Those were just a few months ago. Nobody's going to be really talking about the Camarillo wildfires anymore, because now the LA wildfires happened, right? So all this attention that is ultimately helpful to you can disappear pretty quickly just as sentiments change, right? As politics change, as whatever might change. And so it's not about taking advantage of anything, but it's about taking the situation that you have, which is there's a tension here right now. Adjusters are going to have extra scrutiny. Let me make sure that I am being as thorough as I can today, rather than waiting for this adjuster to be reassigned, for mistakes to be made, and then we have to overcome them later. So those are some of the conversations that we've been having internally quite a bit right now. And I'll even say like Aaron was talking about the questions that we're helping people to ask. It's what he was working on right before we started this video and he was finishing. Is a lot of what we're doing right now is someone reached out today via Tugboat and said, hey, I have a vendor coming. I don't know what they're here to do even, and I don't know like what to do. And so all we did was put together a guide of like, hey, here's good questions to ask that person to help get your bearings when they get there, right? And really thoughtful, educated questions. So it's not just, what's your job? Can I have your business card? But what is your role in my claims process? Do you have any authority to determine what's damaged and what's not? are you going to be creating a report based off of this? Can I have a copy of it? Are you familiar with my policy and and a lot of these, like vendors might come in and be like, oh, I have no idea. And that's really good to know, because your adjuster might say something later, like, well, we sent that vendor in and he gave us this opinion based on your policy. And you could be like, no, I have this note. He had no understanding of my policy. He said that he was just there looking at, I mean, and you asked for a specific example. Here's a perfect one from the Camarillo ones, where we were helping a homeowner dispute whether or not their roof should be replaced, because the house next to it burned and it seared the side of their house and singed some of their roof shingles. And the roof is really old and it's been discontinued for 20 years, that type of shingle. And the manufacturer says that the shingles can only take so much heat, and it clearly got like 5 times as much as that. So even the ones that don't look melted are probably a lot more brittle, and it seems really obvious to us. And to this homeowner that, hey, my roof should be replaced because of this. And the adjuster said, okay, well, we're going to send out a roofing expert to give an opinion on this. And when we had the questions prepared for the homeowner to ask that person when they came, asking about what's your role, what was on the assignment that you were given here? What are you here to try and determine? And it was very clear they weren't a roofing expert. They were someone that was there to just try and find one very specific type of damage, which was wind damage, which wasn't what the dispute was about. And so because what happens is, based on the report that you're going to get back, is that there's no damage to this roof because that person's just there to look for wind damage. And then you're able to say back to your adjuster, I talked to them. They said they're not a roofing expert. They are trained in how to find wind damage, but I didn't make a claim for wind damage. I made a claim for fire and heat damage to my shingles for this reason. So this report doesn't seem like it's related to what we're talking about here. And that is a real life specific example, but that can be taken to your contents and how smoke affected they are, your air ducts, all kinds of different things, and the vendors that are coming out to look at those.
It's clear that it's so important to have a guide take you through this process, because I think that the vast majority of people, I would not have thought of that. You just, you think that your adjuster is sending out the right person, and you think that they know exactly what they're supposed to be looking for. And so without knowing those questions, that person could have not only not been able to get their roof replaced, which I don't know the end of that story yet, but prolonged the process and caused so much more frustration.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the process, it's one of the things that we talk about with Tugboat is, yes, we want to make sure that everyone's able to get the dollars that are in their policy that they're owed, but equal, if not more so, it's that they can get through that process with it being less traumatic for them, with it being less confusing and exhausting for them when it comes. Because if you just have answers, then you're able to go through it a little bit more informed.
Yeah, we hear all the time from our users, like, oh, I wish my parents knew about this when we had this incident. Like, I wish I knew about this. Like, there is a lot of regret when the moment has passed, when your opportunity to recover all that you're owed has passed, and you're just looking back on it, and it's like it caused all of this additional turmoil that was unnecessary.
Yeah. I'm sure Tracy will talk about it. I want to make sure that we mention it, because I have been doing a bad job of mentioning it before we ran out of time. And that's, I don't know if you've seen, but the support that we're talking about through Tugboat, we're offering for free right now for anyone that was affected by the wildfires. And so I think when you and I talked before, the way that our claim support worked was, if someone had a claim, they paid at that specific time for that claim support. Our platform has changed somewhere. Tugboat's a membership, a little bit similar to a AAA membership, to where we help people be prepared for things that might go wrong, meaning giving them policy insights before a claim, giving them pre-loss documentation to be prepared for a claim, which helps them with inventorying and other issues, and some other things as well. And then people can sign up that do have a claim as well, and there's a little bit more of an onboarding fee when that happens. So anyways, it's typically a membership that offers claim support as part of it, where right now, anyone that's affected by the wildfires, smoke damage, total loss, fire damage, questions about whether or not they have damage, our membership is free for the whole year. And
I want to
that,
I want to focus in on that for a minute because that
yeah,
is so generous of you, and it is so needed right now. Um, so let's say that again, right?
mhm.
Anybody who's been affected by the wildfires does not have to muddle their way through the claims process on their own, which can be long and complicated. And if you don't know the right questions to ask, you can end up not getting the full value of what you should, and just go through more trauma. They can go to, it's tugboat.claims, right?
Tugboat.claims/wildfire is the page where it has the
Okay.
free sign up link.
Okay. And free help for those folks in LA that are
Mhm.
going through this right now.
Yep, free help for them, free help for if anyone from Camarillo saw this and for that wildfire as well. And I want to be clear, people are asking us right now, like, why are you able to do this for free? To be candid, we have a premium business, our public adjusting business, which operates like a typical public adjusting firm. And we're very inundated with work from that, with people that need public adjusters and are asking for it, that it gives us the opportunity to be able to offer Tugboat for free in this instance, which we're really happy to be able to do. And it makes it easy for us to confidently say, like, hey, literally anybody that's affected by this should use this online free tool. We've taken several years to gain the confidence to be like really confident and be able to say anybody that's affected by a claim will benefit from having some of this extra help and guidance. And we've seen it work enough. We've talked with hundreds and hundreds of people that have used it. We've refined the process and are really blessed to be able to offer it for free. It's a really affordable support tool anyways when it's not free. But right now, every dollar is so important for people. People are underinsured. People don't have enough for living expenses. People don't want to think about the next thing that they're going to have to pay for. And so, we're very grateful to be able to do that. This is my community. Aaron lives in North Dakota, but I live in Ventura County, right? We just saw a big fire.
Yeah.
I used to live in Northeast Los Angeles and work out there. Like, it's my friends' homes that were affected by this. And so anyways, anyone that's affected, I would encourage you to sign up for it and just start asking questions. What can I do next? What are my options? And should I have any concerns for this? What questions should I be asking? Those are the conversations that we love to be having with people to get them more education.
I love it. It's so needed right now. You guys just hit on something that is going to help so many people, already is helping so many people. And, when we met at the real estate conference, you had an offering for real estate agents. So for any of my real estate agent friends that are listening right now, they can connect with you so that they can help their clients are calling, like my clients are calling me, that I helped them buy a house and they're like, I have a claim and I need help. What do I do? And I direct them to you. So you want to talk a little bit about how you can help real estate agents?
Yeah, my dog's getting excited too about theirs.
I know.
Yeah, for there. When it was actually around that real estate conference that we thought of the idea of making a membership offering for Tugboat. And initially it was just going to be for professionals like yourself that had connections to lots of homeowners that might have claims. And we have since figured out a way to make a similar offering just for homeowners. Essentially, is what we wanted to figure out, is how do we make it.
We have another guest.
Figured out a way to make it so we want to be able to be there before a claim happens to help you be prepared for one. We want to be the first person you're reaching out to and the questions that you're sending. We find that the earlier that we can be involved in someone's process and helping them have guidance, the better their situation goes. And so, yes, for any real estate agents that we have various ways that we're working through memberships that that an agent could have, where like, the people that are buying through them or selling through them could have access to it. But for right now, the easiest way is just to say any homeowner that you know that's affected, they can just go get their own free membership right now. It doesn't have to go through you or through, it doesn't have to be under an umbrella of anything else. Right now, if they're affected by these wildfires, they can reach out to us. And if they have any other type of claim, if they're seeing this and they have a non-wildfire claim, we of course still support those as well.
Right. So amazing and so helpful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I know you guys are so busy right now, and I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Tracy, thank you. I always appreciate when you reach out. I'm sure we'll have more chats. Yeah, and excited to be able to connect more with the homeowners that you have in the area as well. I know that you have a good reputation out here, and yeah, just I'm always excited when I see other people that work with the same people that we do, right? You sell homes and help people buy homes, and you understand how valuable that this thing is to them. This home is like one of the biggest parts of their life. And so it seems like such a natural connection for us to talk to more people like you that understand how integral that is to people.
Absolutely. So to anybody who would like to reach out to Cameron and Aaron, it's tugboat.claims. And for the free membership right now, if you're affected by any of the wildfires, including Camarillo, tugboat.claims/wildfires, right?
Exactly. If anyone wants to connect with us on social media, it's at tugboat.claims. You can send me an email personally. It's Cameron, Cameron @tugboat.claims.
Oh, thank you for taking the time. I know you guys are super swamped, and I know you had a hard stop at 10, so we made it. Have an
Thanks,
awesome
Tracy.
day.
Appreciate
All right.
it.
Okay, bye.